Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios at Kukumlimli here in Accra at digital address GA0993341. It's also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country including Pad FM in Damongo, Jubilee FM in Keta, and Sunshine FM in Boku. It's also on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB, Speed Up, Digibank, Let's Go, and SuperSem Cement. Cement, build your dreams, and tell us all 4G, just a touch. And coming up,
I'm not in favor of this restricted tender. Let's have the open tender, making sure that we cross all the T's and dot all the I's.
It is not an option that Ghanaians and the NCC should even consider.
As government comes under fire from civil society and minority in its quest to use restrictive tendering to replace PDS, the Energy Ministry reveals Ghana risks being penalized by the Millennium Challenge Corporation over its decision recommending termination of the agreement with PDS.
That this decision to terminate this agreement does not sit very well with all the stakeholders involved, and we may be penalized.
Also, President Akufo-Addo blames weak leadership for slow pace of integration among ECOWAS member states as Nigerian border closure continues to take a toll on traders.
If you don't get the goods to sell, what do? And if you don't have the money, it means you are going to be out of business. The treaty should work. The ECOWAS treaty should work.
We wanted to open the border, and this is rainy season. It's spoiling. The goods are damaging.
Also in this bulletin,
no road.
5 communities near Amasaman, including in Sakina, have joined forces to pile pressure on government to fix their roads riddled with trenches.
That if the work do not start on this road in 2 weeks' time from now, we shall no longer have any other option than to embark on full demonstration.
We have details plus how in some areas politicians are having a banter on which roads their governments fixed. In sports,
under fire, Black Stars B coach Maxwell Kennedy receives the backing of veteran coach Jay Sapon to stay on despite his failure to qualify the team for a third successive time to the CHAN tournament.
Benedict also has details later. And later, former President Rawlings has been talking mining.
The commitment of successive governments even weaker because of shallow political expedience.
On why he thinks the security agencies and the EPA are most responsible for the illegal mining menace. I'm Marba Kumson. Let's settle for the details now. Government is facing resistance in its quest to use restrictive tendering to expedite the process of replacing PDS. The concession agreement with the company was terminated after its demand guarantees turned out to be invalid. In the move to replace them in a timely manner, the government has told its U.S. partners it would prefer a restricted tender process. The decision, however, remains the prerogative of the U.S. partners, Millennium Challenge Corporation. Government's decision has been fiercely criticized by civil society groups as well as the minority, which has been addressing a news conference on the matter. We'll hear from them shortly, but here is a recap of how we got to where we are.
We have just released a statement tonight, essentially that government has suspended the concession agreement that was given to PDS because we have detected some anomalies.
That was Information Minister Kojo Oppong Nkrumah on July 30, 2019, confirming the suspension of the concession agreement with PDS after barely 5 months of taking over ECG's main operations. The transaction advisor, Millennium Development Authority and government set up 2 separate bodies to probe the deal. On Thursday, August 8, in a joint press statement, ECG asked PDS to continue as the operator of the electricity retail sale function. On September 5, 2019, PDS was cleared of fraud by the MEDA team, but government extended its suspension indefinitely. On Thursday, October 17, as the boardroom wranglings continued, the minority alleged that government was scheming to plunder ECG's assets through PDS share restructure.
And we challenge the Minister of Finance, Mr. Tony Foreta, who has been spearheading this whole concession and trying to restructure the shareholding. We give him 24 hours to come and explain this matter before us.
Then, on Saturday, October 19, the Finance Ministry's letter to the U.S. government explaining their decision to terminate and replace PDS by restrictive tendering by December 31, 2019 surfaced. World former Power Minister Dr. Kwabena Donkor wants government to tread cautiously.
Let's not rush into another concession. By this time, let's examine all the options. It's better late than never. And I will urge the government to carry out an audit of the stewardship of PDS during this phase.
It's unclear what will be PDS's next move, as Joy News checks indicate they are yet to receive an official termination notice.
That was a News Desk report. Now, a member of the coalition of stakeholders of electricity contract arrangements, Kwame Jantua, is asking government to use an open tender method to select new private partners. He spoke on the Super Morning Show.
I'm saying, how do we build our own? I'm not in agreement of this short term. For me, if for nothing at all, the compact is running for the next 2 years, they should have enough time. And I'm not in favor of this restricted tender. Let's have the open tender, making sure that we cross all the T's and dot all the I's. So, Mr. going forward.
Institute of Energy Security in a statement is also concerned about the restrictive tender process. It says the process promotes corruption and cronyism, kills transparency, leads to high cost of services arrangement, does not provide value for money, and does not give wider alternatives to choose the best company to perform. Well, the opposition NDC is questioning the validity of a letter written by Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to the MCC, informing it of its move to terminate the PDS concession agreement. General Secretary Johnson Asiedu Nketia contends only the chairperson of the Millennium Development Authority has the legal clout to write such a letter. He's been addressing a news conference. Listen.
It smelled a rat because the contents of that letter was in keeping with the pattern of deception and roguery that the President Akufo-Addo government has become infamous for. Barely 72 hours after our press conference, the government, through the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, wrote to the Millennium Challenge Corporation of America to notify them of the termination of the PDS concession and steps it intends to take to replace PDS with another concessionaire. Even with this letter, we are not too clear about the real intention of the government in authorizing the Minister of Finance to write the termination letter, knowing very well that the only person with capacity to do so is the chairperson of MIDA. Diligent as the NDC is, we had caught President Akufo-Addo pants down. Let's pause to ask ourselves, why are we in this PDS mess, and how did we get here?
So that's NDC General Secretary Johnson Asiedu Nketia addressing a news conference a while ago. My colleague Joseph Akable is at that news conference and he joins us on the line now. Joseph, we do understand that General Asiedu Nketia has been raising concerns about the restricted tendering process government intends to use. What more has he been saying?
In fact, however, he says that the suggestion by the finance minister is laughable. He says government to use a relatively more transparent process to select PDS, yet we find ourselves in the mess that we find ourselves. So government cannot be trusted, especially when the actors that supervise this whole controversy are still at the helm of affairs, to use any other process to select another company. We can listen to him.
This is laughable, and we want to say that it is not an option that Ghanaians and the MCC should even consider. And our answer is no, no, no. We have already heard various communicators appealing to our nationalist instincts as a party in opposition to come around with government to protect the interests of Ghana. Let those communicators advise the MPP government to come around us to protect the interests of Ghana. Because we are in the interest of protecting the interests of Ghana, and they are not.
So, Joseph, how does the NDC propose that this matter should be handled going forward? I understand that the party is making some demands.
Yes, a number of them. First, they are asking that the MIDA and ECG governing boards be dissolved. They are also asking for the dismissal or resignation of the Minister for Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, and the Energy Minister, as well as prosecution of all persons connected to this particular transaction.
In the light of the clear mess created by the mishandling of the PDS deal and the apparent corrupt motives informing it, the NDC demands the following. 1. The immediate dissolution of Media Board and the Kenny Gadipo-led ECG Board. In fact, they should have been dissolved yesterday. They have failed the nation and proven to be undeserving of the critical mandate which have been entrusted into their care by Ghanaians. They have proven to be lackeys in the service of a greedy cabal of family and friends, hell-bent on appropriating a critical national asset like ECG. Ghana deserves better. We demand an immediate forensic audit of the accounts of PDS by an internationally reputable audit firm. We are not referring to the MPP type of forensic audit. And the total refund of all monies which have accrued or been collected by them from power consumers since 1st March 2019.
And that's NDC General Secretary Johnson Asiedu Nketia addressing a news conference earlier a while ago. Well, the Energy Ministry says it is acting cautiously, but revealed the MCC is not in support of the suggestion from government that the agreement be terminated. Nana Damwa is Director of Communications at the ministry.
All what has been done in accordance with due process. The concession was in line with a contract, and government could not have acted unilaterally without incurring some other displeasurable consequences. So all of what government has been doing, it has done with only one objective: protecting the assets of the state and the interests of the ordinary Ghanaian. In all of what we have done, despite all the confusion in quotes that has gone on, the lights have stayed on. And that, I believe, is a very, very remarkable achievement despite all of it. We all agree that this has been quite a trying time for the people of Ghana. But despite the so-called gravity of the situation, the lights have been maintained. Moving forward, we all need to also understand that this decision to terminate this, this agreement does not sit very well with all the stakeholders involved. And we may be penalized as a country. It does not? It doesn't sit well with everybody. Who? If you study the documents carefully, you may realize that the MCC may not be too pleased with the decisions that we have made to.
So the MCC disagrees with this decision?
Well, so far as we know, they are not very pleased with the decision. All I'm seeking to say is that we may be penalized in two formats. And for example, the MCC could decide to deobligate the remaining $190 million out of the $498 million. It could also announce that Ghana is no longer eligible for the regional compact because of the so-called failure. At that stage, if they had deobligated the $190 million, they could say that we are no longer eligible for Compact 3. Compact 3, if we qualify, would come in very handy because you realize that we have excess capacity issues and the evacuation of that power, if we're able to sort our issues with competitiveness, may help us in being able to recoup some of the losses that we have.
And you heard Nanat Damwa, he is Director of Communication at the Energy Ministry. Two other stories, and it's been weeks of desperation and despair for hundreds of residents of the Upper East region following devastating floods there. At least 28 people have been killed and many more are displaced. But yesterday, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia flew to the place and handed the Assembly's 50,000 cedis to secure relief supplies for the affected people.
From the presidency, from the regional ministers, from the MMDCEs, the NADMO, everybody is coming together to see how we can assist in the immediate needs of our people who have been affected in this way. So, as a result, government is putting together initial relief items, and I think that those relief items should all arrive. Large quantities are arriving today. These are to deal with some of the immediate needs of the people. In addition, government has also provided cash of 50,000 Ghana cedis to deal with the immediate needs of the families that have been affected.
But as of yesterday, Joy News learned some people were yet to receive some of the relief supplies, like this woman, Helen.
They told us that those who are staying at the council, they are to receive the items. So far as I'm not staying there, they will not give me some.
Oh, okay. So you moved out of the council building before the items came, and because of this, you are not entitled to receive. That's what they are telling you.
Yes, I'm no more staying there.
So what kind of help have you received at all since that?
As at now, I've not received any help. Some people used to come to see how the way my room has damaged me. So if anyone comes and he has something to help me, then we also give it to me.
So that's a flood victim in the Upper East region, Helen, speaking to our correspondent Albert Sorry, who joins us on the line now. Albert, from the weekend, we knew that NADMO had begun the distribution of relief items. But what's the situation on the ground as we speak?
Yes, so those items that were distributed on Saturday went to people who were in more serious need than others. And that is why some people are yet to receive. Now, NADMO says that a truck has arrived this morning with some more relief items, but they are currently sorting them out. And once they are done, they will know which of these items are going to which places and to which people. So it means that the people who have not yet received have to stay put until the sorting out is done.
Many thanks. Albert Sorry is our Upper East correspondent. Now, unrest in the country's technical universities has moved a notch higher today as the Association of Administrators of the Technical Universities joined their colleague teachers on a nationwide strike. TUTAG declared a sit-down strike on October 7, 2019 over poor conditions of service following the conversion of polytechnics to technical universities. With academic work grinding to a halt for nearly 3 weeks on all the campuses, students have been left with very little or no option as the academic woes deepen.
I'm a level 300 student and we can't just afford to be losing class like each and every day. Have like 3 classes in a week, which is 7 to 5 p.m. So you should know how intense it is, like 3 credit hour courses. And these lecturers are not coming to class. Like no matter what, how you're going to read or how you think you are intelligent or how you think you are smart. If you read at home, you need a lecturer to take you through, to lecture you, give you modeling. We need the lecturers to get back to class. We are begging them so that they can come to class.
Last year, 2018, around the same time, the lecturers went on a sit-down strike, which caused a whole lot of havoc in the university community because the university has a planned calendar for which lectures are to be taken and examination follows. When the strike sets in, the calendar gets distorted and a lot of pressure is mounted on the student during examination because whether there is strike or there is no strike, exams will still come on.
Well, with the issues of TUTAG yet to be addressed, the Technical Universities Association of Ghana says it will not return to work unless the 2 main concerns are addressed by the National Council for Tertiary Education. Well, the latest twist to events means the campuses are empty, with some students idling, while administrators, registrars, clerks and other professionals have boycotted the schools. President of TUSAC says several notices to the National Labour Commission and the National Council for Tertiary Education have yielded no results, hence their action.
We have made several attempts to get through to the NCT to bring these concerns on board. We have written several letters to the NCTE and the other agencies that are supposed to take action on these things for meetings to discuss these concerns. But as we speak, they have not responded to any of our letters. The NCTE has not invited us to any of the meetings, and it's a major concern for us because as administrators and professionals, we matter so much in the running of the technical universities. Information I've gathered across board is that our members have laid down their tools, they are not at work, and things are actually at standstill.
And let's go on the lines now and speak to Public Relations Officer of the Education Ministry, Vincent Eko Asefo. Many thanks for your time. This situation or this phenomenon is actually a big blow to teaching and learning. We've heard from TUTAG, and now TUSAC says the administrators have written to NCTE and the Labour Commission, and yet they haven't received any response. Unfortunately, we don't have Vincent Esefwa on the line, but this is the midday news, and still on the news, let's move on. President Akufo-Addo has blamed weak and unresponsive leadership for the slow pace of integration among member states of the Economic Community of West Africa, ECOWAS states. This follows Nigeria's decision to close its borders. We'll hear from the president shortly, but here is a short news desk report.
I will call. Paul, do Ghanaian shop. Take the phone. Call. Where I buy my shoes. What? Is that to me alive?
Traders at the Ashaiman Spare Parts Market in a heated argument over why the main Nigeria-Benin border has been closed. The border has been closed since last month to reduce smuggling of goods, according to officials in Nigeria. Back here in Ghana, traders are feeling the pinch. Samuel Tetelate has been importing spare parts for the past 20 years and says his business will collapse if the border is not open immediately.
If you don't get the goods to sell, what do? Now you pay tax, you pay this, you pay this, you pay this. And then if you don't have the money, it means you are going to be out of business. We pay for rent, we pay for other utilities. And so we are begging the government to talk to the Nigerian government or whatever, or if it is West Africa, as they are saying, then the treaty should work. The ECOWAS treaty should work so that we will be free. Now too, as we are doing business, when you want to go to China, or unless you get big money, we don't have money to. The small loans you have been taking to now, the place too is choked. You can't go for the small loans again.
Some Nigerians are equally affected. Chief Boniface Nidowu is head of Nigerian traders at Ashaiman. He is worried about recent developments.
We wanted to open the border because we have goods on the road. Our goods are on the road. As the goods are there, and this is rainy season, it's spoiling. The goods are damaging. If we heard that even thieves are stealing them, so it's a problem. We wanted to open the border. Whichever problem, they should handle it amicably.
Ghana's Trade and Foreign Affairs Ministries have been engaging their Nigerian counterparts to solve the problem. Henry Kwesibedu's reports for Joy News.
While addressing a conference on ECOWAS Court of Justice in Accra earlier today, President Akufo-Addo said West African leaders must demonstrate the political will required to deepen economic integration.
And it is not for the lack of plans or even rules and regulation. It is simply that the political will to make integration real has been less evident than in Europe. Our problem over the years, I suggest, has been leadership. The implementation of plans to bring progress and prosperity to the 350 million citizens of ECOWAS has been left to well-meaning technocrats and bureaucrats. However well-meaning they may be, our region cannot make the bold, transforming changes it needs to make without visionary political leadership. We need leadership that is focused on the region and not on individual country. The European Union took off because the political leadership of France and Germany decided to make it work. Once the political will is evident, we can then work together to make ECOWAS a true regional community.
President Akufo-Addo there. You're listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. We're taking a short break, but a recap of our top story. Government comes under fire from civil society and minority in its quest to use restrictive tendering to replace PDS. We heard from the Energy Ministry, which admitted Ghana risks being penalized by the Millennium Challenge Corporation over its request to terminate the agreement with PDS. Still to come.
No road.
5 communities near Amasaman, including Insakina, joined forces to pile pressure on government to fix their roads riddled with trenches.
That if the work do not start on this road in 2 weeks' time from now, we shall no longer have any other option than to embark on full demonstration.
We have details, plus how in some areas politicians are having a banter on which roads their governments fix. More to come.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation over the past 45 years. We've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
Kremasa, Ghana, so we correct Mason pa. And you make us super. Me a super Mason and Kasa. Because our job no and yet better. They won't see how beautiful and high quality your work is. That be what them they use believe you. That be why me too. It be only super same cement at the use. Cement mu cement. Cement papa. Intere me cranks in yina from because it's super. Because me the super same cement and DVD ra.
Super Same Cement is designed to ensure that your buildings stand strong for generations. Build with Super Same Cement. Build your dream. Build.
You're welcome back to the Midday News with me, Araba Kumson, and Benedict Owusu is in the studios with sports. Benedict, I hear it's going down tonight. There's a huge debate amongst the contenders for the GFA presidency.
All right, okay. So what's going to happen is tonight at the Physicians and Surgeons Center here in Accra, we're going to have 6 candidates. They will come up and questions will be asked. Of course, we want answers to them, and we'll see what they want to do. Possibly if they are elected as president of the football association.
Who is it looking likely to come out top?
Well, it's a small football community. 120 delegates are going to vote, so I'm unable to tell. Yes, it's not a general election.
You can't tell?
No, I can't.
All right, what's in sports?
Well, pressure is mounting on Black Stars B coach Maxwell Knudu to leave his post following the team's failure to make a next year's CHAN tournament. Now, this is the 3rd consecutive time they failed to reach the competition. And for many, Coach Knudu, who has been in charge of the side for 6 years, should make way for a new man to take charge. So, what does veteran coach Jay Sapon thinks about this? Here's his answer.
In the spell of time, during that time, I would say that he was given the chance by the former executive committee people, or whatever it is, to prod the road, to follow. Look at him, look at assistant coming down to another group and then going back, local Black Stars, prodding between the two teams, But I think this particular one that we are talking about, he wasn't given an ample time, to rally around, to get the players rally around to come and play, at this particular moment, But if you look at the past records, then it means he has to revisit his place. If I were Maxwell, I'll sit back now, and then perhaps read through my notes again, and then bounce back.
All right, so that's veteran coach Jay Sapon speaking there. For more on this plus other stories, join us on the Joy Sports track, which will be at exactly 1 p.m.
No road! No road! No road! No road!
And those are sounds of angry residents of Insakina expressing worry about the poor roads in their community. They want the government to fix the roads in 2 weeks. Exactly a week ago, drivers on that stretch embarked on a silent protest over their roads. Today, chiefs of about 5 communities held a news conference by the side of the road to make a stronger call to action. Ni Kwate Kwote is secretary to Coalition of the Communities.
We have been given assurance to the effect that the road construction will commence soon, since 2016. But till now, we have never seen any sign of contractors on the site. We do not want to see grader reconditioning the road again. We need third road to ensure this plight is ended. Your Excellency, in view of the foregoing, we, the leaders of the 5 communities mentioned above, respectively, requested your urgent attention to help fix the said road and ameliorate our plight. We assure you, Mr. President, that if the work do not start on this road in 2 weeks' time from now, we shall no longer have any other option than to embark on full demonstration.
And Ni Korte, secretary to the Coalition of Communities at in Sakina. Now, while residents living in areas with deplorable roads continue to plead for their roads to be fixed, members from both the governing MPP and opposition NDC are in a hot contest on which roads their administrations built. In the Ashanti region, Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah is blaming the opposition NDC for the bad roads in the region. He says the party has no moral right to question the MPP government as it left the challenge unresolved and huge debts at the Roads Ministry.
The NDC must shut up if they don't have anything good to offer. They are the cause of bad roads in Ashanti region. They left huge debt at the Road Ministry without constructing the roads.
Elsewhere in the Volta region, Member of Parliament for Ho Central Benjamin Podo is busily fighting off claims by government that the NDC did not complete any road project in that region. As you recall, Vice President Dr. Baumia, while addressing a Durbar during the Klefe Yam Festival last Saturday, accused the opposition NDC of failing to complete roads there. But speaking to Joy News, Mr. Podo debunked the assertions made by the Vice President.
The road from Ho through Akwepe, Tanyigbe, Tokokwe to Nive, right to Atikwi is now bitumen surfaced. From Tokokwe to Asifiape, we built from Nive through the Nive border post to Shian. Under my own watch, we built the road from Mate to Clave. So for someone to come and say that no road work has been done for 8 years under the governance of NDC, this is factually incorrect.
And that's MP for Ho Central, Benjamin Podo there. Now, former President Jerry Rawlings is accusing government of lack of commitment in the fight against illegal mining, or Galamsey. He made these comments over the weekend at the 75th anniversary celebrations of the Ghana Mine Workers Union. Listen.
Entire rivers have been destroyed by the senseless and unbridled abuse caused by greed, unpatriotic attitudes, and the failure of the mining supervisory agencies. The Environmental Protection Agency earned the security agencies to enforce the laws. The problem of this brazen abuse of our country is collective, and the commitment of successive governments.
Former President Jerry John Rawlings there. It's time to find out what's trending on social media. My pizza is with me. I suspect it's PDS.
Yes, it is. And at Asari Peace on Facebook says this government deserves our gratitude for discovering the wrongs in the deal and being transparent about it. Bonsi Benjamin says, I commend the government for being the whistleblower in relation to the PDS saga and taking a bold step to initiate a termination process. The last one is from at Imano, who says, although I blame government for lack of due diligence before awarding PDS contracts, I appreciate the bold step they took to terminate it.
And this matter will continue to rage on. That's how we wrap up the midday news here on Joy 99.7 FM. I'm Arba Kumsin. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. Good afternoon.